The Prophet's companions meet the Dajjal on a remote island. On the day before the end of the world, there will be an extraordinary end-time slander coming from the Dajjal. When Dajjal first appeared, he claimed to be God's messenger, but soon he admitted that he was God. Until now, Dajjal is still imprisoned by Allah on an island. Fatima ibn Qais narrated that, on one occasion, after performing congregational prayers, Radhiallohu'anhu went up to the minbar and laughed a little. The words came from his lips, "To all those who have just performed their prayers, stay where you are." After all the friends sat quietly, he then started his conversation, "Do you know why I brought you together?" They answered, "Allah and His Messenger certainly know better." He then continued, "By Allah, I did not gather you for pleasant or frightening news. However, I gathered you because Tamim ad-Dari was once a Christian. Then, he came to take allegiance and converted to Islam. Apart from that, he also told a story that matched what I wanted to tell about Dajjal. Just for additional information, Tamim ad-Dari is a Palestinian Christian who once met Dajjal on one of his trips to the Arabian Peninsula. Upon returning home, Tamim ad-Dari emigrated to Medina and converted to Islam. After being in Medina, he told the incident he experienced to the Prophet ﷺ. Receiving this news, he then gathered his friends and conveyed it to them. Thus, there is no need to doubt that this story is true and valid. If not, of course he would not convey it to his friends. Because, Allah is not pleased if His Messenger spreads false news. Apart from that, there was no room for Tamim ad-Dari to lie in front of Rasulullah ﷺ. Rasulullah ﷺ continued his story. Tamim told me that once he boarded a ship with 30 people from the Lakm and Judzam tribes. For a month, they tossed and turned on the ocean waves. Until finally they anchored on an island in the middle of the ocean before sunset. They sat not far from the ship. Some time later, they entered the island and encountered an animal with thick fur. The animal's fur was so thick, they couldn't tell which was the forefoot and which was the anus. They then dared to say to the animal, "Whoa, what animal are you?" Surprisingly, the animal was able to answer, "I am Al-Jassasa." They asked again, "What is the Al-Jassasa animal?" The animal said, "O people, go to a man who is in a church. Because he really misses your news." As narrated by the Prophet, Tamim said, "After the animal mentioned a man to us, we became afraid. Maybe the animal is a devil." However, we were curious and immediately went to the church that the animal had pointed out. Once we arrived, it turned out that inside the church there was already the largest human figure we had ever seen. He was tied tightly, while both hands were kept at the nape of his neck. From both knees to his ankles were bound with iron. At that time, we asked, "Whoa, who are you?" The giant man answered, "You already know my news, now tell me, who are you?" Tamim ad-Dari's group answered, "We are all Arabs. We sailed on a ship. Suddenly we were hit by waves and waves. We were in limbo for a month. Until finally, we anchored on your island. Suddenly, we met an animal with thick fur and he asked to come here to meet you. Because, he said, you missed our news so much that we immediately came to you." The man said, "Now tell me about Baisan dates." As said by Tamim ad-Dari, we asked back, "What do you want to ask about?" "What I ask you, are the dates still bearing fruit? If the dates barely bear fruit, now tell me about the Thabariya lake. What do you want to ask about? Is it still filled with water? The lake still has a lot of water." The man asked again, "Now tell me about the Zugar well." "What do you want to ask about?" they asked. "Does the well still have water? Are local residents still farming with the well water?" Tamim ad-Dari's entourage answered, "Still. In fact, there is still plenty of water and the residents still farm with the water." The man in the church asked another question, "Then tell me about the prophets of the Arabs. What has he done? He was born in Mecca and moved to Medina. Was the prophet fought by the Arabs?" "That's right," answered Tamim ad-Dari's friends. Then what did he do to the Arabs? Tamim ad-Dari's friends also reported as clearly as possible that the Prophet had appeared among Arab society and was being obeyed by them. The man is heard asking again, has that happened? That's right, they confirmed. The Prophet would be better for them if they obeyed him. Therefore, he told you about me. Indeed, I am the Messiah Dajjal. I was almost allowed out. After leaving, I will walk the face of the earth. I will not leave a single village unless I will stop by in 40 days apart from the cities of Mecca and Medina.